long it's been since I've been live. Obviously, you guys know I do the YouTube stream and I do the other stream as well as Instagram Live. I forgot to hit live on the YouTube stream, man. It's been a while, but I am glad to be back. Now we got YouTube involved, Instagram. What's good? I'm just excited, man, to get into this season. The training camp for the 49ers starts July 31st. That's going to be here before you know it. And so right now, as we get geared up and we get hyped up, and I just want to check in with you guys, we're going to have, I'm just really excited about the content that we have planned for you this preseason, this season. If you guys have seen on social media, I am searching and will be doing the official search to bring some additional content creators on board. The platform is built. If you need clicks, we got it. If you want athletes looking at your stuff, we got it. If you want to be able to hear your voice and you want to be able to get it out there and be heard, this platform is building a system where you, the fan, I'm not geared up towards, journalists and what have you, and I respect them greatly and dearly. They have their own platforms, but this is what it's about. We are the fan, and we're going to have our own platform, and that's what this is. So if you have any interest in social media management, writing, you're trying to get into journalism yourself, video production, editing, anything, there's going to be an opportunity for you. So keep an eye out for that stuff as it comes through. But as we get going into the season, the content's going to be picking up. We're going to be doing a lot more lives. We're going to be doing a lot more shows. Podcast is coming. So while I've been away sleeping, kind of feels like, I've been building a lot of stuff. We've been building a lot of stuff on the back end. So even though it's kind of quiet out in the front, out on those streets of Instagram, social media, what have you, it wasn't. We're building. And Discord server will likely be coming. We're going to have our hands in everything. This platform will be fully functional on every platform. And we're going to be looking for you guys too to be a part of this. This isn't just me. I want the whole fan base to have a voice and be able to express their opinions, because guess what? I'm a fan. That's all I am. I'm just a fan. This is my passion. So I know there are other people out there just like me that want to do this and have great opinion and great insight. So that's what we're doing. So make sure you be on the lookout for when we actually go. And I'm going to be posting responsive like roles, and they'll have descriptions of what I'm looking for. And I've already been talking to a couple people, but we'll get that thing going in the next week or so. But for right now, let's talk some football. What do you guys want to talk about? It's been weeks and weeks since we've had any kind of communication. There's been a lot of stuff that's went by. That you had the Kyle Shanahan podcast with Peter Schrager and Sean McVay. Jimmy Ward dropping sound bites everywhere. What else did we have? The Richard Sherman incident. We've had a lot of stuff going on, and we haven't been able to really connect and talk about it. So I'm going to kind of look at you guys. Like, what do you guys want to talk about? We want to talk about Jimmy Ward. Do we want to talk about, Richard Sherman, get a little more serious? Whatever you guys want to talk about is kind of where I'm going to go. So why don't we talk about this? We'll talk about Jimmy Ward. So Jimmy Ward today found his way to Bleacher Report via Grant Cohn and his interview that he did with Jimmy. He did a great interview. You guys can catch that on YouTube. But it's essentially talking about the Stafford hype, right? Matthew Stafford hype. I think in a recent ESPN poll done from executives, coaches, GMs, all that kind of stuff. From my understanding, I didn't see it actually. I've just seen it talked about. But from my understanding is that Stafford was ranked 6th in the NFL at the quarterback position amongst front office executives and what have you. And Jimmy, perfect timing, right? Because Jimmy Ward's quote was basically like, well, why? Why is he like getting this much hype and all that kind of stuff? Because he was in Detroit. He had Megatron. He had Marvin Jones. He had all kinds of guys over there. I mean, obviously he's been through a cast of characters. Stafford has clearly had a bunch of different coaches, schemes, and there's a ton of things that come along with that. But my guy Jimmy Ward doesn't hold back, man. And Jimmy Ward, set the record straight. It's like, all right, like I get the excitement, but is that going to mean he's going to win championships? I don't know. And I think that's the biggest thing that 49er fans, what we're excited about is, we're super, super hyped about this division. I am personally. I'm really, really excited about this division. You look across the landscape, I would say the most dramatic improvement you might say is potentially the Rams because they changed the quarterback position. They're the only one in the NFC West to change the quarterback position. Everyone else is still the same. So right now there's a lot of focus and talk about Jimmy Ward, or not Jimmy Ward, but Sean McVay, the Rams, Matthew Stafford, and how they're going to elevate. Real quick, I appreciate you, Logan. Logan says, hey, brother, keep up the great work. I appreciate you, man. As always, good looking out. Niners unified. I will check the DMs. The DMs are in shambles. Continue to get into shambles every day, but if you tell me to check, I will look. So thank you. But yeah, we look at the division, we look at the Rams, you look at Stafford, you got their running back. Don't forget their running back, Cam Akers. Cam Akers is getting all the hype. Cam Akers is getting all the hype in the world, especially comparing him or basically packaging him with Stafford in a McVay offense. I mean, if we're talking fantasy perspective, Cam Akers is going bottom first, early second, which is insane for a guy who missed a lot of last year. Of course, came on strong at the end of the year and balled out in the playoffs, and the usage was through the roof. So right now, a lot of people are looking at that. They're looking at the running back. They're looking at the cornerback. You have the wide receivers. You have Woods. You have Kupp. You have a guy like Van Jefferson going into year 2. They draft Tutu Atwell in the second round. So you see the me, and we put out a poll. I didn't think we didn't ask the original question, but I asked you guys. I said, what would you guys prefer? Dominant, essentially weapons, or dominant offensive line? And it was landslide. Dominant offensive line that fans chose, which one surprised me because I would feel like fans would kind of lean towards wanting to pick the more dominant weapons. But hey, you guys are smart and you guys slid towards the dominant O-line. So therein lies my issues with that team. And then on top of that, you look at the defense, you look at the secondary, you look at their linebackers, you look at the D-line outside of Aaron Donald. They have been decimated. We have Samson Ebukam. I think, what's his name? Josh Johnson. I can't remember. No, it's not Josh Johnson. Their safety, starting safety was really, really good. He's playing for the Browns now. Their linebacker, Littleton, I'm blanking on everyone. They're out of there. So that's the thing. They got Stafford, and Stafford's nice. And Stafford is a perceived upgrade over Jared Goff. But still the same old Rams at the end of the day. Still the same old Rams at the end of the day. And I think the biggest common denominator in all of that is the Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay relationship. And so I really feel that Kyle Shanahan understands what Sean is trying to do to him. He's understanding how he's trying to counter him. He gets it. And I just think that is another level of, having the higher up on another coaching staff, as well as matching up favorably from a personnel standpoint. Our personnel matches up. I mean, do we need to talk about Brunskill? I'm just saying. Brunskill's famous for how he's performed against the Rams twice last year. So because he handled my guy. Hey, Aaron Donald, we talked about it with Brunskill. We were both just like, Aaron Donald, best player in the universe. We're like, yep, I agree. He's like, I'm like, you played against him. What do you think? He's like, yep, I agree. But my guy Brunskill managed the best player in the universe. The best player in the universe shouldn't be managed at all. And that's why Brunskill is such a polarizing figure on this account, because he did something not a lot of people can do. And he did it twice. It wasn't just one good game. He did it 2 times. So again, we throw in Brunskill, it's over for that defense. They got no one. We got the answer for Donald is Brunskill. So I'm joking partially, but on the other hand, I'm not, because you have Jalen Ramsey. And you just, again, you look at the draft. I don't have their roster pulled up in front of me, but I do know they lost key contributors on each level of that defense, and not just one, but multiple. So Rams gonna Rams, man. Rams gonna Rams. I call sweep again. I'm calling it a sweep until we don't. Until we don't sweep, it's always sweep. How does that work? I think that's amongst fans. We should just operate as such. We should just operate as, yeah, we're going to sweep the Rams until something changes. Because until then, same old Rams. And now we got Sosa and Bosa. Oh, man, I'm excited. Again, I think it comes down a lot to quarterback play. But it comes down to quarterback play of guys that can create. Matthew Stafford can't create. One of the reasons why, even in Kyle Shanahan, I can pull a quote directly from Kyle Shanahan's interview that he did with Sean McVay that talked about kind of their thought process to that went from them like going from a guy like Mac to Lance. And he really just talked about, he's like, if you're going to be pocket, and again, apologize for the McDonald's Wi-Fi. It's terrible today. We're going to get it figured out, I promise. But essentially what Kyle said is, if you're not Drew Brees, if you're not Peyton Manning, if you're not Tom Brady, and you don't have that elite skill set where you have an elite mind, elite arm, and elite everything where you can just sit in the pocket and do everything, then, it's really hard to win in this league without a dual threat guy. So I thought that I could go, I'm going to do a whole segment on what Kyle Shanahan talked about, but I thought that part was fascinating. And again, you take that logic and you put it with Matthew Stafford. You better hope that offensive line is holding up for Matthew Stafford. You better hope that they're blocking Bosa and Kinlaw and DJ Jones and Eric Armstead and Samson Ebukam and Arden Key and Zach Kerr, and the list goes on and on and on. So I hope they're ready for it. And with Stafford, he can't move too well. The guy's been injured. He's not going to be trying to escape the pocket anytime soon. So I'm less concerned about them as a team. Now, I'll put respect on Stafford. I think Stafford's a great quarterback. I think he's top 10. I think he's been in a franchise where players go to lose their careers. I agree. I think that is a real situation. But that doesn't change the fact that I still don't think he's not better than Russell Wilson. He's not better than Kyler Murray at this point. Is he better than Jared Goff? Yeah, he's better than Jared Goff. But again, look at the scheme. Look at what they do. Look at how they operate. It's still operated a very specific way. Play action, bootlegs off play action, running the football, doing all of those things. It's the same thing that we do. So you can bottle that up if you don't have a second option, which is your legs. And so I feel a little bit more confident about that situation. I do think Stafford's an upgrade, but I do think they've downgraded in other categories. You look at the Arizona Cardinals. Now, we want to talk about an ascending team. I think the Arizona Cardinals are it. Honestly, I really think that the Arizona Cardinals and the 49ers have been matching each other kind of on a personnel standpoint, like arms race. Kyle Shanahan talked about he literally said arms race when discussing the chances of Julio Jones potentially going to the Rams. Then he said that. But the biggest thing that is to our advantage is they don't have a coach, a good coach, I should say. And real quick, shout out BD33H. My boy is hyping me up on Twitch when I was doing a test. He turned into my audio guy. That was fire. I see you. Good looking, bro. I'll never forget that. But back to the Cardinals, man. You got Cliff. I'm sorry. I'll talk about. I wanted Cliff too when he got fired from Texas Tech, and I'll tell you exactly why I wanted him. Because Kyle Shanahan runs pro style, run first, play action, 21 personnel, throwback almost style offense. I've seen situations where the 49ers do need to come in from and play from behind, score points in a hurry, do things of that nature, and it doesn't always seem to jive super well when they got to spread it out and move the ball downfield. So with Cliff Kingsbury, he's a spread guy through and through. So I was hoping, hey, bring Cliff over to the Niners, work under Kyle, bring some of those philosophies to our staff, incorporate them, not change or change the offense, just add another layer, because you never know. You never know when you need to score points in a minute and you need to drive 80 yards down the field. Sometimes those spread philosophies do play out in certain situations, but situationally. Now he's taken that whole concept and brought it over to Arizona, and that's all they do. And it's not working, in my opinion. We're talking about Cliff Kingsbury with the Arizona Cardinals and why he is holding them back from being a true competitor in the NFC West, in my opinion. The person that makes them a competitor in the NFC West is Kyler Murray, because we can see what he can do with his legs when he's got to create. Murray is great at that. He's super good at that. He will bail these guys out every single time. And it's really frustrating. But it's not because of the offense. The offense, just you watch it. It doesn't seem to work right. All the pieces don't seem to click, but they've got pieces. Their offensive line looks legit. I think one of the sneakiest additions of the entire offseason by any team was the Arizona Cardinals getting Rodney Hudson to play center when the Raiders cut him. I can't believe he went in division to the Arizona Cardinals. You actually look at their line, and their line has improved. Their offensive line has gotten better. Of course, we know what the wideouts look like. You have A.J. Green, you have DeAndre Hopkins, you have Christian Kirk, you have Rondale Moore. Who knows what Andy Isabella turns into? Running backs are, Chase Edmonds. He's nice, right? Eno Benjamin. I don't know. Is he still there? And then you put that all together. I just don't know. I don't know if they're ready to take that next step. Talent-wise, I think they're talented. You go to the defensive side. They got J.J. Watt now and Chandler Jones on the same defensive line. They drafted my guy, Zaven Collins, out of Tulsa. He got into some early off-field trouble. He got arrested for something. But you got Isaiah Simmons back there, Roman. They quietly got a good team. It's just I don't know if their offensive coaching can take them over the mountaintop. They always play us well, though. They always play us well. That's one of those things. It's just like that's why when I said until we don't sweep the Rams, I'm saying we sweep the Rams just because of how we play them. I've been a part of it when you have this like mental makeup over another team, you play them every single year. And let's say you've had the upper hand, but let's say this year you're having a down year and they're having a better year. There's still times when the lesser team who has won repeatedly will still win almost as if it's like a mental block. Like they raise their level. They know this team, we don't lose to this team. We have their number no matter what. And I really think that's what it is with the Rams. With the Cardinals, they've always played us differently. I always feel like we play down to them. I always feel like we don't get up for the Cardinals. You look at week 1 last year. That was a tough game. You look at years past. Just doesn't feel like we always, come up to where we need to play against the Cardinals. Doesn't mean they're necessarily better than us, but it just doesn't feel like we match that intensity that we do with the Rams. And then with Seattle is a whole different story. Seattle's full of variables. It's the atmosphere. It's the atmosphere that you go into. It's, again, part of that mental construction. Joe Staley talked about it. I mean, when Joe Staley was able to spike that football in that Seattle game when Mostert scored, he talked about how an insane feeling that was to finally go up to Seattle and beat them. That's mental. That's a mental thing. So with Seattle, it's overcoming the mental ability to travel on the road, go to Seattle, and get a dub there and be confident in that. That's what we're working towards with Seattle. With Arizona, we need to play to our level, not to theirs. And with the Rams, we always show up. We always show up against the Rams. So that's how I'm looking at it. And then, of course, you can get super granular with the roster. But, I mean, you look at it, might be the best division in football. Might be the best division in football. I don't know if you can look across anywhere else and see this much talent across the board. I mean, just look at the quarterbacks. Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford, Russell Wilson, / Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance. Some good quarterbacks. There's 2 top 3. There's 3 top 3 picks. Kyler, Stafford were both number 1 overall picks. Trey Lance was a 3rd overall pick. I guess Jimmy is a 2nd, but we could be starting. Probably starting. I'm trying to stay away from that subject. I'm trying to stay away. And then you got Russell as a 3rd round pick. But we got this division stacked. Seahawks picked some random guy named Eskridge in the second round. Unfortunately, Eskridge is not random. He was someone that I really liked heading into the draft. He was someone that I actually identified as fitting the number 3 wide receiver archetype that I was specifically looking for to fit Kyle Shanahan. So Eskridge is not random. He's not random. He went higher than I anticipated, but he's not random. And the fact that he landed on the Seahawks, Dwayne Eskridge's name very soon. Because I think he's going to give us problems. I really do. He's a good slot wide receiver who can do a lot of things. I live out in the LA market. There's no mention of their defense locally outside of Donald Ramsey. Everything hinges on Stafford here. They will be swept again. And again, I think that point that you made is 100% accurate. It's not all about the quarterback. Unless you're a certain type. We could put Russell on the same Rams team, but if it was Russ, we would say they have a chance. Anytime Russ is on the field, they got a chance, and that's the difference. That's the difference between Russ and Stafford. We can manage Stafford's talent. We can do that. We've done it. Remember when Detroit came here and played 2018? We've done it before. We've seen it live. Now add some more tread to the tires, add a couple more years. I don't think it's going to be that much harder to manage over Goff. I think he'll make better throws. He'll have better arm placement. He'll make a couple more tough throws a game. But is he going to Russell Wilson us to death? No, he's not, and that's where we are okay. We're okay if you're not going to run it with your quarterback all over the place on us. So if you want to keep Stafford in the pocket, great. We're going to rush 4. We're going to send Bosa. We're going to send Stafford, Kinlaw, and we're going to just throw those, whatever, whoever, Eric, Kerr, DJ Jones, doesn't matter. They're coming. 4 guys. That's it. We'll throw the rest into coverage and say, all right, Stafford, let's see what you got. Because you have less than 2.5 seconds to get the ball off. So you better hit that first read, better be open, Stafford. Stafford. Let me talk to you, my guy. That first read better be open. I'm just saying. Your first read, your second one better be open too, because if you're not getting to your third read, if our defensive line is healthy, woo! Big Steve said, did anyone ever start a GoFundMe to get a better Wi-Fi? Hey, yo, shout out AT&T. So I've been trying, man. I've been trying. They sent me like one of these like extender router things. It's not working the best yet. So trust me, man. We're trying our best to get this Wi-Fi figured the hell out. We're going to get it ready by season. I promise. I promise. Yo, Leo, my guy. Hey, everyone on Instagram in the comments, you got to say congrats to my guy, Leo. He's having a baby boy. Number 2. Let's go, my guy. Proud of my 49er papas out there. Let's go, Leo. We see you. We see you bringing another faithful into the world. But yeah, man, it's all kinds of stuff. Is there any hope for D Ford? I think there is hope for D Ford. It's been something we've been monitoring all off season. It's a tough one, man. It's hard to project injuries. Oh, there we go. My guy says, congrats, Leo. Leo, better be naming him Trey. Oh, man. Leo, we got to know the name. it's got to be Trey Luna. Ooh, it's got a nice ring to it, though, Leo. Leo, it's got a nice. It's got. Oh, man. Oh, that's a good question. Here's a good hypothetical from Pete on YouTube. Sorry, YouTube. I've been neglecting you guys a little bit, trying to get back into the swing of things. Pete says, who plays first, D Ford or Jalen Hurd? Jalen Hurd or D Ford? Both have back issues. D Ford's neck back, I think. Leo Trey Luna, let's go. That's a good question. I'm gonna say Hurd, just because. I'll say it like this. We were contemplating D Ford retiring a couple months ago, and that is based on some information that was passed my way, whether it was accurate or not. There were rumblings of it being discussed. Fast forward to now to OTAs. D Ford is in the facility all offseason. I'm talking about from January till March. He's in the facility all offseason. OTA start. He leaves to go see a specialist. I don't get confidence from that simple thing alone. I don't get confidence from him being there the whole offseason. Then everyone shows up and then he leaves to go see a specialist. That doesn't build a ton of confidence within myself. Like I've said, if we get anything from D Ford in 2021, it's house money at this point. But based on that situation, based on the moves that have been made, Samson Ebukam, Arden Key, again, we need depth at that position as well. So we're not talking about it's like complete replacement. But Jalen Hurd tore his ACL in training camp last year. I'd have to imagine he's well ahead of the ACL recovery, about a year in. So I would say Hurd. Yeah, I out of that situation, I would say Hurd. Just because, like I mentioned, to me, having a guy in-house all for 3 months, that's great. That makes me feel good. But to then have him leave once OTAs kicks off, which I remember Shanahan expressing he needed to kind of get away and do all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. Just my perception of it. Have I ever been to Canada? No, I have not. I would love to go to Canada. I want to go to Whistler. I want to go snowboarding in Whistler super bad. That's why we got to sign N'Keal Harry. Ooh, I was a big advocate of trading for N'Keal, but honestly, just wait. Just wait. He's probably going to get cut. And so at that point, I don't think the 49ers would trade for him. They would just wait. Just wait for him to get cut. And that's the thing, too, that I talked about previously a couple weeks back was, okay, we don't have to go out and get a wide receiver right now. We have some good, depth and veteran presence, as well as new contributors, as well as guys who haven't proven anything. It's a nice mix, after Debo and Ayuk, of been there, done it, maybe haven't done it yet, or we just don't know. That I think lends itself to just watching who gets cut. Just watch who gets cut. There's going to be some good wide receivers that get let go out of camp. And if you're hurting and you get through camp and you're Kyle Shanahan, you're the director of pro personnel, and you're just not really vibing off your depth, you'll be able to find someone in about 4 weeks time. Oh, it's Craycraft season, baby. You know the vibe. The hype is through the roof right now, and it's only picking up. Craycraft season is just picking up. But Breeze talking about Sanu going crazy. I think that's the case. I think that's true. I think Sanu's going crazy. I'm going to talk about it from a psychological standpoint real quick. I think Mohamed Sanu went through an entire offseason in 2020 as a free agent in the midst of a pandemic with COVID and all of that kind of stuff. So that means nothing was normal. Of course, we all know this. We've lived it. But just for him as an athlete within the structure of an organization his entire career to then finding himself outside the structure of an organization amidst a pandemic, amidst all of that, and then he gets signed like 2 weeks into the season, I would have to assume he wasn't in great shape. I'd have to assume mentally he wasn't prepared because, again, you're a football player. You start training in January, February for your next season that is months down the road. So I kind of feel like, again, no insight, no knowledge. I just kind of feel like it was an odd year. We picked him up in the middle of nowhere. Might not have been in the best shape of his life. Might not have been, where we needed him mentally or what have you. And he found himself off the roster about 2 weeks later. Well, Sanu, by all accounts, this year, since the offseason has started, since we signed him back, he's been grinding his ass off. And he looks different. And I think that's partially what it was. It was like, Sanu, we brought you in last year, man. It just, you can admit, you weren't there mentally, physically. So we'll bring you back for this next year. But we expect this out of you, which is why I think Mike McDaniels went out of his way to compliment Sanu and not only compliment his shape, but say flat out that based on the shape that Sanu is in, he has a hard time seeing anyone beat him out for that final 53-man roster spot. So that's kind of how I look at it. I think we picked Sanu up earlier in the year, last year in 2020. There's a lot of stuff going on. Didn't work out based on the timing. This year, we gave him a second opportunity, and he is running with it. And I view it like this. Again, you got to put yourself in these players' shoes. Again, my guy Sanu just went an entire offseason in 2020 on no team. He wasn't on a team. He had no idea where he was going to play. No clue. Uncertainty. Again, pandemic on top of that. So he has no structure. Zero structure. Football players are structure-oriented because we're process-oriented. What time is this meeting? What time is this? What time is that? You move off a schedule and do all those kinds of things. And you take that away, it changes everything. Changes your mindset, changes the way you move and you do things. So I really think it came down to the 49ers like, hey, we'll give you another shot this year, but this is what we expect out of you. And I think he's doing it. And I think he is also understanding this could be his last opportunity. I think he realizes, again, when you get to a certain point in your career in the NFL, teams stop calling. They just stop calling based on a perception, based on age, based on money, all different kinds of reasons. They just stop calling you. So I think Sanu, you take in 2020, seeing how he's responded in 2021, I think he is operating like a dog with his back against the wall who understands who understands that this might be his last opportunity. And so when you get a dog looking down the barrel of his last opportunity, you're going to get that dog, I guarantee you. So that's why my whole thing has changed. Before OTAs, I was like, how is Sanu going to make the roster? Based on 2020, how is Sanu going to make the roster? How does that happen? He didn't even make it in 2020, and we were calling up guys like Craycraft off the streets. How is Sanu going to make it in 2021? I think that's exactly how he's going to make it. I think that's exactly how. He understands this is it. This is my last opportunity. He's got Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel in front of him. Is Richie James in front of him? I don't know. Richie James is like a smaller slot. You can use Sanu in a different role, like a big slot, which is typically where he played and best utilized. So I think the stars are aligning for Sanu. If Sanu can stay healthy, I think he has an opportunity to not only prove himself right, but prove this coaching staff right. And so I think he's got a lot of motivation for a veteran who's been around, who's been to Super Bowls. I'm excited. Like I said, I was out on Sanu. You asked me 3 months ago. I don't know. I'm convinced now. I'm convinced. So I think Sanu has a good shot. Sanu got that's the tough thing about N'Keal Harry. I know a lot of people don't really like him or want him, but again, I pay attention to these guys. I pay attention to their stories, and I watch them develop and progress. I would say that is 100% what N'Keal's going through. He needs to get out. He needs a culture change. That culture just isn't it for a lot of players. So would love to see him move in a different direction. But yeah, just randomly start talking about wide receivers. What else do we want to talk about? Again, there's no structure here. There's no structure. If you guys want to talk about something, throw it out. I might pick it up. I might not. I like this one. So the real lad on Instagram says, who does Aaron Banks remind me of? Ooh. I don't know. Because honestly, like if we're talking about like size wise, like, body frame, like he's good. He's good. He's a freaking huge mamma jamma. But the things that stand out to me with Banks on tape is just the guy doesn't lose. Offensive linemen lose. Sorry to tell you guys. I don't know if you know this, but offensive linemen lose quite a bit because their jobs are very hard. And so technically they find themselves out of position. They just get beat straight up. I don't see that from Banks. I just don't see it. I don't see a guy who loses. And that's rare. That's really rare. And I was a big Landon Dickerson guy. I liked a bunch of the guys coming out of this class, and I didn't get to Aaron Banks' tape until after. But I don't know why he wasn't talked about higher, because the dude doesn't lose. So who he reminds me of, like, honestly, I wouldn't say from a size standpoint. He's kind of got some of those DeCastro vibes from the Steelers, former Stanford guy. Just because I think of the domination, just dominant. They have different styles, I would say, but they were both dominant. And I think Aaron Banks is going to be dominant as well. So I'm super excited about that and really excited to see what he looks like. I just want to see what he looks like in an NFL game. You want to talk about my beard? The beard's gonna have to get its own channel here soon. Aaron Banks reminds you of Trent Brown with run blocking ability. Trent Brown was just, he's so big. He's so damn big. I don't see a ton of similarities, obviously, because Trent Brown lacked in the run game, was a good pass protector because he had really good feet and could move well. But that's the thing with Banks. He can do both. It makes him favorite game I'm looking forward to. So game I'm looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to that Colts game. I think it's week 7, 8, something like that, after our bye, prime time. I'm really excited about that game because I think that's going to be a damn good game. 2 good teams, 2 well-coached teams. Too many people are sleeping on Carson Wentz, and you should not do that. Combined. I promise we're going to get better connection. I promise. So I'm actually really excited about that Colts game. It was honestly one of the first games that jumped off the schedule to me. I mean, obviously you can look at Tennessee, you can look at any of the division games. But I think that Colts game, I think the Colts are going to be a good team. That's why my eyes went there, because I think I believe more in the Colts than a lot of other people. It's the kind of vibe that I'm getting, because people don't believe in Carson Wentz. But like I said, I believe in Carson Wentz. Plus, you stick him with his coach that believes in him. I think you're going to see good things. And I think they're going to give us fits. And it's going to be, what's really going to be fun about it is Darius Leonard versus Fred Warner. Javon Kinlaw versus DeForest Buckner. Michael Pittman versus Brandon Ayuk. There are just a lot of really cool parallels in this game. And I'm really excited to watch it. And again, Carson came into Levi Stadium and beat us by himself. That was one of the ugliest games I've ever seen. But you got to give props to Carson Wentz, because Carson Wentz put the entire team on his back, and they beat the San Francisco 49ers on his back. So I think that's going to be a fun game. Does Trey Sermon have RB1 potential? Any running back who is getting the majority of the carries in the San Francisco 49ers backfield will be RB1, if that makes sense. I'm trying to think of it from like a usage percentage that would translate to fantasy football and how they rank RB1, which is top 12, right? Typically. So if we're thinking top 12, would you guys agree that the production that is coming out of the running back room will be top 12? I would say yes. Whether that's Mostert, Trey Sermon, Elijah Mitchell, no one's talking about Wayne Gallman. Someone needs to put some respect on Wayne Gallman. I don't know who's going to do it. It might need to be me. I'm holding down the Craycraft hype train right now, but if I got to start the Wayne Gallman hype train, I will, because that guy needs to be talked about more. And that's the thing, is like, it's really hard to project. Ever since Kyle Shanahan has taken over this team in 2017, it's been so difficult to project him week to week, month to month, year to year on how he manages his running back usage, rotation, packaging, all of it. He is game to game with his running back. So that's why it's really hard to look at it from like a singular individual. But I would take a step back first and say, do I think there'll be a top 12 room? I do. I think the production that comes out of that room is top 12. Okay, well then who gets the majority of the snaps? I know this fan base doesn't think that will be Raheem Mostert. I know that's not going to be a surprise to a lot of you. As of right now, I would have to, I don't know if it's going to be Raheem Mostert because, like I said, even when Raheem Mostert was going crazy in 2019, who were they trotting out with the starting group? It wasn't Raheem. It wasn't Breida. It was Tevin Coleman. So, again, it's just like, I don't know how Kyle's going to use these guys. I don't, because I put my cap on, my thinking cap. I'm like, all right, well, this team wants to run the ball. Positive. That's good. You're already heading in the right direction. Okay. Kyle Shanahan wants to run the ball 30 times a game in order to win games. Okay. If you're running the ball 30 times a game, you're absolutely putting RB1 production up. But who gets it? Who gets it? How's it doled out? Because that's the thing. Raheem Mostert could come in for 12, 175, and 3. And then you could have Trey Sermon going there for 20, 45, and 1. You know what I'm saying? I would say out of any position on this team, the running back position for me personally is the hardest to project, which is you guys want conspiracy theory. You guys aren't ready for the conspiracy theories yet. Man, I gotta save my hot takes for full-blown episodes. I'm picking the stuff that's easily digestible. Hot take. Bree wants a hot take. Shoot. Hot take. Okay, I'll give you a hot take. Azeez Al-Shaair will be the second leading tackler on defense. Fred is the vacuum. Fred is number 1. Fred is going to destroy. We know this. But not Jason Verrett, not Jimmy Ward. The dude been all over the place. Azeez Al-Shaair. Not Dre Greenlaw, who I expect Dre to take a huge step forward. I don't know, man. Al-Shaair is nice, man. But that's the thing. So is Dre. But Dre, this is the crazy thing. If you take Azeez and you take Dre Greenlaw and you put them together, you probably have one of the best linebackers in the NFL. Their skill set together is insane. If you could mold them together, they might be the best linebacker in the NFL because Dre Greenlaw, his coverage ability, his read and react, his movement side to side. I mean, I was trying to crap on a little bit, but just watching again, I've done a lot of watching over these past couple months as well. Azeez, man, he's heading into his third year. He's heading into his third year with Dre. I don't know, man. I just there's this energy pull towards Azeez. The same energy pull I have towards Craycraft. It's just pulling me towards them. I can't explain it until I go on and watch the tape, and I'm like, it's so weird. I get pulled towards these guys, and then I go watch, and I'm like, I can see why I'm getting pulled towards this guy. So with Azeez, I think he's going to step into more opportunities. I'm really interested to see how his linebacker coach handles him and manages him, and all that good stuff. And you know who's going to be really bad this year, though? The Raiders. The Raiders are going to be so bad. Do they have an offensive line? Do the Raiders have an offensive line? I don't think they do. I'm going to go play for the Raiders offensive line. How about that? How about that, Moody? You want me to come play for you guys? I'd probably do better than what you got out there. Raiders are trash. And if you don't understand, that might help you understand. Raiders are trash, bro. Raiders are garbage. Dude, Josh Jacobs, Drake. Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? Josh Jacobs, Kenyon Drake. Who's RB1? Do we know? Well, you got like 30 running backs right now. But guess what? We see the Raiders. We see the Raiders at Levi's, I think. For preseason, which sucks. I wish it was a regular season. But Ruggs can dunk. Ruggs probably raps too. Ruggs can probably rap too. With what's his name? The cornerback, first rounder, Arnett. I love Mayock, man. But he makes me scratch my head sometimes, man. I'm coming, bro. I'm coming. I'm gonna get Carr sacked. I'm gonna win the starting center job for the Raiders. They're gonna put me in because I got no one. They're like, we'll take the ginger kid with the bad back. We'll put him in at center. And then I'm just gonna give a free alley to Kinlaw. Like, hey, Kinlaw, I'm not blocking. It's play action. Go for it. Just whoop. Whew. Best rapper in the game, Cole Beasley. Jeff Wilson got some bars. I know you guys saw Jeff Wilson Jr.'s that rap video. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, Jeffy, Hefe. Hey, Hefe, your music's not suitable for work. I can't play that around my kids. But once he stopped swearing on that thing and he got to rapping, I was like, ooh. Jeff Wilson got bars. Someone said Jeff Wilson sounded like Big Crit. I was like, I could hear. I'd say the style's different. Big Crit got his own style, but they got that Texas sound, I think, is what we hear. Jason! The Aponte is in the chat. The Aponte. The Raiders are relevant in the Bay, dude, and it's kind of sad. It really is sad. It's not as fun to talk crap about the Raiders anymore. Not as fun. But we'll get over it. We'll survive. Because we run the Bay. We've always ran the Bay, and we'll continue to run the Bay. Bay champions. That's how it works. That's how it works. Hashtag Bay champions. So it is what it is. Oh, man. All right. What are we looking for? What do we want to talk about? Let's see. What other hot takes do we got? Believe the Ward hype? Absolutely. I'll talk to Ward a little bit. I've talked about it before. I'll talk about it again. Ward. So this is the thing. Ward and Eric Armstead are going through the same thing, man. They're going through the same thing. They got drafted by a general manager who the fan base hated. Eric was a project when he was drafted at 16 overall. And when the 49ers took Jimmy Ward in the bottom of the first, he looked like a nickel corner. And I think based on the fan base at that time, there's perceived other needs than nickel corner. And again, you combine that with the just natural disdain that the fan base had developed for Trent Baalke and his drafting ability. I think some of that clung on to those two. I'll speak for myself 100%. For a second there, I didn't like anyone that Baalke drafted because he wouldn't pick my guys, and he would always pick guys that got hurt or were hurt. Many other reasons. And with Jimmy Ward, he was hurt early often. Didn't really feel like you knew where to play him. Is he a nickel corner, outside corner, or they have him at safety? It just felt like a situation where Trent Baalke again was over his skis and just didn't know what the hell he was doing. And I honestly still to this day believe he doesn't know what he was doing. I still don't. We're still trying to figure out where to play Eric and how to fit him into this defense. And we're just figuring out how to fit Jimmy Ward into this defense just now. Or not just now, but I would say about last 2 years. So honestly, a lot of fans, man, Jimmy talked about it. You know, he said fans have zero problem going into his comments and telling him how trash he is. And I know this for a fact because I know all of you guys. I see everything you guys do. So he got that early and often in his career to the point where this fan base did not like Jimmy Ward. This fan base did not like Jimmy Ward. I did not like Jimmy Ward because I didn't understand Jimmy Ward. I didn't understand what he was. I didn't understand his talent. I didn't understand any of it. And it was all clouded behind these glasses of hatred for Trent Baalke. And so I wasn't objective enough at that time. That was like 2014. So like what I'm doing now, which I started in 2017, I hadn't even got to that point in what I'm doing now. So essentially, with Ward, he got a really bad perception. He got a really bad perception around him built, and it started day one. Started the second Trent Baalke slid that card and turned it in because everyone wasn't bought in on Trent Baalke at that time. We weren't bought in 2014 and how he was drafting and what he was doing. We were not bought in. So when he takes a player, all that angst and ill will that we had based on what we wanted him to do and what we thought he should do, all of that gets transferred to Jimmy Ward. And that's not fair to Jimmy Ward, but that's a reality. And so we went 2 years in. He's often hurt. He's, dealing with staying on the field, all kinds of stuff, playing out of position. Fans still don't understand where he's supposed to be playing. It was tough for Jimmy, man. Until this is where for me it started to change. Okay, they bring in Chip Kelly. Okay, Jimmy Ward sticks around. Or I'm sorry, they hire Tom Sula. Jimmy Ward sticks around. Okay. They hire Chip Kelly. Jimmy Ward sticks around. Like, oh. You don't see that. You don't see players withstand multiple regimes and coaches. I was like, okay. He's not playing bad, but the whole team was ass. That Chip Kelly year, I think we were historically bad. Like in the history of all football, bad at defense. And then Chip Kelly and Baalke get fired. Yay. Hallelujah. No lie, Trent Baalke almost made me quit being a fan of the 49ers because I hated how he drafted so much. Almost did. He almost made me quit, but I didn't. I stuck it through. Then we hire Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, and they take over. But guess who sticks around? Jimmy Ward. At that moment in 2017, I was like, holy hell. Because I've watched enough of other teams. I don't just watch our team. I watch other teams as well. You don't see guys make it through multiple regimes. You just don't. You don't see that. So to me, I'm like, I must speak to who he is as a person. What have we found out the next 3-4 years as Jimmy Ward has been playing better? He's been playing in a position that kind of showcases his skill set, which still I don't think showcases his skill set to the best that he knows he's capable of. But in 2017, it kind of the tide started to change. Even in 2018, was still kind of the same. Even in 2019, when Jimmy played Ward, started all those games, credit was going to Bosa. Credit was going to D Ford. Credit was going to Fred Warner. Credit was going to Eric Armstead. Eric Armstead finally got his flowers. Not really Jimmy Ward yet. It didn't, for me personally. It took me until 2020 to understand Jimmy Ward. And I'm not ashamed to say that. Like, I'm not going to sit here and bang the table and be like, I've been on Jimmy Ward since day one. No, I was out on Jimmy Ward since day one. My personal journey with Jimmy Ward has been taking my biases and my hatred for another person that isn't him out of it to be able to truly observe and be objective in my evaluation. And it wasn't until 2020 that I really realized, holy shit, like, Jimmy Ward is good. Like, he's really good. And he's good in so many different ways. And that also, too, is credit to my evaluation and my evaluation evolving. Because when Derwin James came out, for example, Derwin James came out of Florida State. He was an insane athlete, physically gifted, had all the tools, everything. Top 10 pick, absolutely. But I said, pump the brakes. I said, if you play Derwin James in a traditional safety role, I don't think he'll be successful in the NFL because I don't think he's a pure cover safety. I think he's an in-the-box guy who needs to be able to come off the edge, come up the middle, do all different kinds of things. And so my evaluation was like, well, they're going to play Derwin James out of position in the NFL. He's not going to translate. He's not going to translate. They're not going to – Florida State's bringing him off the edge. They're blitzing him up the middle. They're playing him in deep third. They're having him do literally everything. And I was like, no one in the NFL is going to play Derwin James like that. They're just let him do whatever he wants, come off the edge, blitz. Like, no, I was like, no one's going to do that. I was wrong. Chargers took him. Chargers played him exactly like he was played in Florida State, and he's on all pro trajectory until he got injured. That then transferred into my evaluation of Fred Warner. That following year, Fred Warner comes out. Fred Warner is a tweener. Literally. Is he a slot cornerback? Is he a safety? Is he a middle linebacker? Is he an outside linebacker? Or is he an edge? We did not know. We had no idea what Fred Warner was coming out of BYU because he did everything. He weighed like 220. Didn't know what he was. But I took my Derwin James situation of being down, realizing the NFL is kind of transitioning, to then that changed my evaluation of Fred. I didn't have that same evaluation. I was like, you know what? You put him in the right spot, Fred Warner will be successful. I just don't know who's going to do that. Who's going to put him in the right spot? Well, 49ers did, drafted him, put him in the right spot. He's now the best linebacker in the NFL. Again, this was a guy pre-draft who no one knew where he would play in the NFL. I think Jimmy Ward is that player. I think Jimmy Ward is that guy before any of these guys. In 2014, when Jimmy Ward came out, he was that guy. I really believe it. And my evaluation wasn't up to speed. My evaluation was still, again, not transitioning towards to where it is now, this positionless type player, because it was based on how these old defensive schemes would be used. Well, now Jimmy has been given the opportunity to play safety and really do a lot of things. Now, I know he doesn't get to do everything that he wants to do, but in 2020, and again, it's not just him, it's me too. My evaluation changed and evolved and continued to evolve, and it evolved with him. And in 2020, I really, really took a step back and realized, wow, Jimmy Ward is extremely valuable to this defense. Even if he's not making turnovers or even if he's not doing X, Y, and Z, I'm still seeing where he's providing value. He's providing value in so many different places. Again, he talks about his ability to cover in man. He talks about his ability to have to cover slot wide receivers, cover tight ends, cover wide receiver ones, and everything that comes along with that. And honestly, if this hybrid safety role existed in 2014, Jimmy Ward would be a lot bigger name to the 49er fans than he is now. And I really think that's part of it's a really long run through of that whole situation. But the long story short is I wasn't a big Ward guy when he was drafted. I wasn't a big Ward guy in 2016. I wasn't a big Ward guy in 2017 and 2018. You know, I'm a big draft guy, so I'm out here scouting safeties and scouting this. And then this year, even though there's safeties that I really liked, Trevon Moehrig, Richie Grant, there's really solid safeties in this class. They weren't to replace Jimmy Ward. That was the first time in a long time in my draft prep that I wasn't trying to replace Jimmy Ward. And that too was also a huge eye-opening moment for me, my evolution, and how I view these guys. It just was a situation where it was like, man, I've been looking at Jimmy wrong this whole time. And I've even messaged him about it. I said, dude, I thought you were a slot corner. Like, I was like, no, I think you were the first hybrid safety before they were even hybrid safeties. I think that's what Jimmy Ward is. I think Jimmy Ward, his ability to cover, his ability to tackle, his ability to move sideline to sideline, play in the box, play in the deep half. There aren't that many safeties that can do that. So now you change the way you think. Jimmy hasn't changed much of anything. I just changed the way I think. I changed the way I evaluate. And then that has changed my perception of Jimmy. And so I got hella respect for Jimmy. And again, yeah, we chatted it up. We've talked. He interacts with the account. He follows all that good stuff. I will not front and be like, I've been Jimmy's number one fan since day one. I have not. And I think that's all of us. I think that's all of us as a collective fan base. And what I think is really cool is the tide changing for Jimmy. I think it's really cool. Because obviously I'm seeing the change in my eval. I'm seeing it in everyone else. We're all coming to grips and understanding like, oh, wow, Jimmy's the most tenured player on the 49ers. Then you think about like, oh, he's made it through 2 GMs and 4 coaches. oh, he's made it through 6, 7 draft classes. Like, oh, then you're like, wow, Jimmy's actually pretty damn good. And again, it's like you just go watch 2020. He did a lot of good things on tape in 2020. So, and he might have had a better year in 2019 even. So that's the thing with Jimmy, man. I'm happy for him because he deserves it. I would say more so than anyone on this team. At least when it comes, if we're talking strictly public perception, I don't think that there's anyone on this team that deserves it more than Jimmy. Jimmy deserves his flowers. He does. But I don't want it to get to his head. I don't want it to get to his head. I like my Jimmy Ward playing with a chip on his shoulder. That's one of the things that I've come to respect about Jimmy and why I think makes Jimmy so great is because he freaking hates everyone. And he's pissed at everyone for putting zero respect on his name. Now, we're giving him his respect. And he deserves the respect. Should have had it a long time ago. Don't get too fat and happy, Jimmy. Don't get too fat and happy, Jimmy. We still want you playing with that chip on your shoulder. So excited for Jimmy. I think this is going to be a big year for Jimmy. Really hope that I don't even want to say it. I'm not even going to say it anymore. You've had love from Jimmy from the start. Good for you, man. Not all of us were built the same. And again, like I said, all my early issues with Jimmy were not Jimmy Ward related. The Balky. Man, I hated that, man. I don't hate anyone and I don't hate anything. But he made me not like football. Thoughts on Hufanga? Excited about him. Again, perfect segue after talking about my evaluation of Jimmy Ward. I look at Hufanga again. You look at him through the prototypical eyes of how traditional defenses use safeties. I wouldn't say Talanoa Hufanga fits that from a traits perspective. But again, I don't know. I also don't see Hufanga being a pure safety. I see him being more in the box guy, kind of like what Tart does, almost like an extension of the linebacking core. It's honestly what I saw from him on tape before he was a Niner, and it's kind of what I've seen from him in the lead up till now. Won't know till we actually see him on the field. But so far, there's a lot of good hype coming about him. So excited to see Staley coming to the coaching staff. I would love that, man. I don't know if what's up, Paul? I don't know if he wants to do that. I know he trained a couple guys. I think he trained Dylan Radunes. I believe he trained Walker Little. Both guys drafted in the second round last year. So he might. I would love that. This fan base would love it. I think the O-line group would love it. Oh, you like the Bengals, Paul. I feel like that's what I remember. It's been a long time, though. Shoot. What's up, channel? Trey Lance comparison. Woo! Trey Lance comparison. What was your question? D Ford? Oh, I already talked about D Ford. That's why. What was I saying about the other one? Trey Lance comparison. It's really Trey Lance is a hard comparison, man. because you have to compare skill set, and part of his skill set is the ability to work out of pro style offense. Damn, that's a good one. That's a good one, Paul. I ain't gonna lie. It's dangerous. It's a dangerous comp, but I think I understand where you're coming from. All right, I'll talk about it. So Paul said he's comparing Trey Lance to Russell Wilson. Now, there are a lot of reasons why Trey Lance isn't comparable to Russell Wilson, but one of the things that I have hardest time comping is his readiness in a pro-style scheme, what he operated in college, and how he'll translate to the NFL. So why I like the Russell Wilson comp is only for a portion of the comp. Russell Wilson played 3 years at NC State, not pro-style offense. He transferred his final year to play at Wisconsin. Now, if you know Wisconsin, it's just like Iowa. It's just like these throwback, pro-style, 3 tight ends, fullback, run the ball down your throat, but play action off of that. So for me, when I watched Russell Wilson from a talent perspective and scheme perspective, Russell Wilson sold me day one. He was going to be able to come in and play quarterback in the NFL without any problems. I saw what he did at Wisconsin and how he operated that offense and what he did within that offense. And the only knock was his height. And he proved to me early on in that process that height isn't an issue. But again, why they're also Trey and Russ are no apples to apples comparison. But what I am comparing is their cerebral. I'm comparing their mental. And with one of the things with Russell Wilson in my evaluation with the quarterbacks, you guys have heard it ad nauseum at this point because you just experienced our first full offseason scouting quarterbacks. But for anyone who's ever scouted quarterbacks before, it's so hard to scout quarterbacks because you scout them on a completely different level than most other players. Other players, you're scouting ability, you're scouting measurables, you're scouting intangibles, and you're trying to understand how they are and they fit into this box. But with quarterbacks, it's almost like you have to reverse engineer it. It's almost like you have to reverse engineer and evaluate their mind, their thought process, what they're capable of understanding and withholding and being able to translate onto the field. Again, another thing that Kyle Shanahan talked about was, man, I wish I'm going to get I got to do a deep dive on Kyle's thing. But what he says is he's looking for in his quarterbacks, they need to play in the zone, clear mind, low blood pressure, and heart rate to be able to apply the right way. That is directly from Kyle Shanahan. Be in the zone, clear mind, low blood pressure, heart rate, clear mind. And so, and a lot of what Kyle was talking about in that interview was the different archetypes of quarterback. Well, he's basically saying, he's like, you can evaluate quarterbacks on so many different levels and so many different planes and so many different things. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to process. You have to be able to handle adversity. You have to be a leader of men. And you have to be able to do it all when bullets are flying. And through Russell Wilson's draft process, I identified early that he was that guy. Calm, cool, collected, smart, low blood pressure, all of it. All of it. And shout out Gruden's QB camp. Gruden's QB camp back in the day used to be really the only insight you could get into these quarterbacks to know who they were. Because Gruden was able to pull true personality out of these guys and he threw them up on the board, and you get to see how they talk and their mannerisms and how they operate. And are they surgical? Are they lackadaisical? Does it come to them right away? Russell Wilson was bang, 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 bang. And I was like, it's over. It's over. Russell Wilson's going to be a great quarterback. That's the reason why I was legit sick to my stomach when the Seahawks drafted him in the 3rd round, because I knew this last decade that we've experienced was coming my way. I knew this was happening. So when I like Poles' comparison to Lance for that reason, because I believe Lance is cool, calm, clear-minded, low blood pressure, leader of men, all of those things. I think he's all of those things. And I think that's why Kyle fell in love with him. And I think you see, and I'm not comping their measurables or their traits. I'm comping the intangible mental side of things. And I see a lot of similarities. That's why I like that comp, because I see a lot of similarities from that standpoint. Complex system in college, overcoming adversity in college, on top of, being the underdog. Always. Trey Lance is an underdog, believe it or not. So I like that comparison from that sense. But from a physical sense, sheesh. Trey Lance is, so this is what I've realized. This is what I've realized. When I can't comp someone and I start creating a build-a-player of a comp, that's when you start to realize how unique this player is. So I think sooner rather than later, we're going to realize how unique Trey Lance is. But I think for right now, you see a body style like Cam Newton. You see a guy who can come in and operate schemes like Wentz. He's got the intangibles and mental capacity of Russell Wilson. I think he's a whole bunch of different things. And so that's going to translate to very exciting things for fans of the 49ers. It's, long-winded per usual. What else is new? But yeah, I think just like I couldn't comp Ayuk. Couldn't do it. I was like, I can't do it. I don't know who to comp you to. I was like, I don't know. I was like, Brandon Ayuk, who the hell do I comp you to? I comped him to a more athletic Juju Smith-Schuster. Again, comps with abbreviations. Ayuk did not like that one. Ayuk commented on that one, and he said straight up no. And I was like, okay, I respect you for that. But like I said, I came to the realization after his rookie year that you can't comp Ayuk. Who do you comp him to? He's so different. He's Brandon Ayuk. He's a rookie. Who do you comp him to? He can play behind the line of scrimmage. He can play 40 yards downfield. He can play in the middle of the field. Man, so I just did a cut up. So if you guys want to watch it, I pulled every touch of Brandon Ayuk, and it's on YouTube, and I put it together and put in a video. So it shows. So I went back and I logged every time Brandon Ayuk touched the football. That dude racked up over 700 yards on in the most difficult way possible. I swear to you. Like, what he did his rookie year, like I went back, like I said, I pulled all the clips of the plays that he's touching the ball and how he gets his yardage, the way he gets his yardage, the way he gets his catches, the way he does everything is not easy because we didn't make it easy on him. But he still did it. The amount of suicide slants he ran that he caught and got demolished instantly because the quarterback made the wrong read. It's amazing. Again, I'm already super high on Ayuk. I've already bought him everywhere in fantasy that I could buy. Like, for example, to let you guys know what I think of him, I traded DJ Moore straight up for Brandon Ayuk. Straight up said, Here's DJ Moore. Give me Brandon Ayuk. I think Ayuk is the better player. That's what I think of Ayuk. And again, watching those catches, watching how he got his yardage, watching the context behind the stats, dude. If we can get Ayuk the ball on time, oh my God. If we can get Brandon Ayuk the freaking ball on time, as designed, as intended, watch out. I'm saying, you guys know I'm a big CD guy. I'm still a big CD guy. On draft night, when we drafted Javon Kinlaw over Judean Lamb, did I think it was a mistake? Yeah, I did. I was hurt. My heart broke. I was hurt. I was so hurt. But like I've said since then, it's such a good choice. It was such a good choice. Because you can hear how I'm talking about Brandon Ayuk right now. And I still love CD. I still think CD is going to be the best. I still think CD Lamb will be the prototypical number one wide receiver in the entire NFL. I said that when he was drafted. I said that when he was a prospect. Like, the talent was there. There's a reason I comped him to DeAndre Hopkins. There's a reason why I did that. I had never comped anyone to DeAndre Hopkins other than CeeDee Lamb, and I feel confident in doing so. And I think CeeDee Lamb will be better than DeAndre Hopkins. So, as a prototypical, there's an adjective that defines it. He's part of that new breed, this new style. Wide receiver who can play X, Y, and Z, who can play behind the line of scrimmage. He's different. He can be used as a prototypical wide receiver one, but I'm not sure we'll ever use him that way because we want to get the ball in his hands. And getting the ball into Ayuk's hands in our scheme doesn't translate to being used as a traditional wide receiver one. But again, Andre Johnson put over 1,500 receiving yards in his first year in Kyle Shanahan's scheme. I think Pierre Garçon put up ungodly numbers in Shanahan's scheme. Right now has a really strong opportunity in front of him to blow up the league this year. So big Ayuk fan. Hindsight being what it is, thank you, John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan. Because to answer that question again, I'll just pull it up so it's there. That's a good question. Where'd it go? Oh, it's right there. Duh. So on draft night, we drafted Javon Kinlaw over Judean Lamb. Did I think it was a mistake? I absolutely thought it was a mistake. Absolutely. You asked me that today. You asked me that at the end of the 2020 season. It's the right decision. Again, it's why they're doing what they're doing. This is the best decision because now heading into this year, Javon Kinlaw is going to be my defensive breakout, and Ayuk is my offensive breakout. So I think that tells you exactly what you need to know about it. Was that a mistake or not? And it wasn't. It wasn't, because Javon Kinlaw's coming and Brandon Ayuk's coming. We haven't seen the best of either one of them, which is the scary part. Ooh, Football's Female said George Kittle is winning Comeback Player of the Year. Missed 8 games last year. I was thinking about how he missed 8 games last year. Do you guys remember how he got hurt? I don't think people remember how Kittle got hurt. It wasn't his fault, but I don't think people remember that. I went after Bourne a little bit. And rightfully so. But back then, I'll be honest, I didn't go after Jimmy enough. And it wasn't in the sense of going after. It was just objectively assigning what happened. And it was a dual situation. Kendrick Bourne, it was like a bubble screen. Very quick bang bang play. Bourne is primary blocker. He's supposed to block. Did not block. Terrible effort, whatever. Again, I'm an offensive lineman. If you're not showing me blocking, I get really upset. I'm very critical of blocking, especially in my wide receivers. But he didn't block. That meant that I believe it was Buda Baker or Deion Buchanan, one of the two. I think it was Buda. Bourne was supposed to block Buda. Bourne missed, and Jimmy threw it high. So it was a 2-prong. Our boy George got effed by 2 of his own boys. And we lost him for a good portion of the year because of that. And that's why it's like, man, you got to hit your assignments. And it's like really hard when we talk about injury and like, why is this team so injured all the time? And it's like, yes, a lot of it is luck. A lot of it is just weird things and things of that nature. But hey, if we're going to really look at it, a lot of it comes down to execution. If we're executing, we're getting off the field. If we're executing, we're doing certain things the right way and not putting our players out of position. We didn't block with our wide receiver, and our quarterback threw the ball high, putting his tight end out of position. And it was a 2-pronged situation. And we lost Kittle as a result from both Bourne and Jimmy Ward failing to do what they're supposed to do. Same situation with the Bosa and Eric Armstead sack, back-to-back ACL injuries. It was a 3rd and long. Eric Armstead had Sam Darnold in his sights, in his grasp to sack him so that the Jets would punt. Eric does not get the tackle, and this isn't Eric's fault. I'm not trying to at all, before I go any further, I'm not trying to say this is Eric's fault because it's not. But I'm just trying to talk about how a series of events really translates into some messed up injuries. And so Eric, we could have got off the field, would have been a 3rd down, they would have punted, 49ers ball. Eric doesn't make the play. It sticks out to me so much. Because of this. Eric didn't make the play. Sam Darnold scrambles for a 1st down. And I'm just like, in my head, I was like, what are we doing? Like, we could have just gotten off the field on 3rd down. It's 3rd and long. And we allowed Sam Darnold to escape for a 1st down. I was going through it on that play. I was like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Because we, up until that Jets game, we were kind of putting on tape a series of letting big plays happen on 3rd down based on quarterbacks who can't run very well. And the next play, Bosa. Next play was Bosa. and then the play after that was solid. So those 3 plays for me were like, I don't know if I'll ever forget those 3 plays ever again. Because again, it's like if we executed, we were in position, we do our job, we do what we're supposed to do, we get the tackle, we get off the field. Bosa, Solly don't get back-to-back ACL tears. Again, that's not Eric's fault. It's not Eric's fault. It's just that specific events, they're tough. So tough. It was so tough. And it haunts me to this day. So, my rallying cry for this year, get off the field on 3rd and long. That's it. Get off the field on 3rd and long. Do not allow quarterbacks to scramble and convert on 3rd and long. On those 3rd and longs, get off the field when you can. We win 4 more games. So, small things. Small things add up to very big things. So, rant over. But essentially, yeah, the pain comes back, man. It comes back. It's tough. So, and I don't want to focus on that because it's a new year. But what we're focusing on is we're, of course, going to know where we came from to understand where we're going. And right now, where we're going is we're going towards a year where we need to be very, very intentional with everything we do. Like going into games, all right, we are getting off the field on 3rd and longs 95% of the time. Anything else than that, unacceptable. That's what I want. I want it to be like a known thing. Like, who do I think the QB is going to be? That gets its own episode. That episode might come tomorrow, actually. Should we do that tomorrow? Because if you follow me on my personal Twitter, I let it go on the personal Twitter. But we're a little more buttoned up over here. So should I go quarterback tomorrow? I think I'm going to save it for tomorrow. I think I'm going to talk about the whole thing. Yeah, I'm going to do that tomorrow. Because then I can tie in Kyle Shanahan's podcast with Sean McVay. Like I said, I got 3 pages. You can't really see it. I got 3 pages of notes and quotes on that podcast of all things that he said and what they mean and how they've meant to everything and how I viewed this offseason, tracked this offseason to where we are now. Kyle says a lot. Like, if you follow Kyle, if you're just listening to that podcast of the perspective of just in the moment, one off, not taking anything else into account, it is what it is. But if you've lived the offseason that we just lived and you went through all the things that we went through in the 2021 offseason, then I think it's worth our time to dig into these notes. I think it's worth our time to really understand what Kyle Shanahan was saying in that interview. And I think he told us. And I think he's told us multiple times. So that's what we're doing tomorrow. Tomorrow, like I said today, like I'm going on for an hour 45, literally no structure, no topics, no nothing. This is day 1 of my season. So my season starts today. Content season begins today. We're going to be doing scheduled lives. Like I said, podcast is coming. Plenty of other things going on behind the scenes that we'll get to the bottom of, and you guys don't need to worry about, but it will make your experience much better. So I'm going to save my Kyle rant for tomorrow. And I think it's going to be, I've been wanting to talk about it for a long time. So I've been sitting on it. I've been marinating because, again, too, I'm trying to make sure that I'm looking at this from every angle, player, coach, GM, fan, and everything in between to understand what Kyle is saying. And I think I got it. I think I got it. So, and that translates into the quarterback talk. That translates into QB1. That translates into week 1. Translates into all of that. So tomorrow, be on the lookout. I think we might even call it QB1 episode. I might write that down now. We might just call it the QB1 episode. So let me do that really quick. Guys, I'm excited though. Like, just on a tangent, I'm really excited about the content that's coming this year, man. Like, this year's going to be insane with the website, with YouTube, with the multiple platforms, especially if we're going to be bringing on other content creators, and we're going to be bringing on other contributors. Man, I'm hyped for this year. Like, I don't think you guys know. I don't think you know. I think the real ones know. I know the real ones know. But the casuals, so I'm excited for all this content. Like I said, the content really starts next week. Everything we do until then is speculative and just kind of whatever we come up with. But we're going to have real football to talk about July 31st. And we're going to be able to get into it early and often. Like I said, we're set up to start now. We're starting now until June, which is crazy to think about. And it's a big reason why I took the summer off. I really did. I took June and July to myself. A lot of it. You guys can see me a lot on here because we went about 4 months strong from January to or 4 or 5 months strong from January to May covering the draft. That took a lot out of me. Well, guess what? We're about to go the entire season. So preseason or training camp starting July 31st all the way through the season. So mid-January, if this team goes to the playoffs, we're following them to the playoffs. But we're going to be going to the Senior Bowl. We're going to be going to the Combine. We're going to be going to any major scouting event surrounding football. And then we're back on the draft in January, February, March. I'm telling you guys, like, this year is about to be insane. It's about to be a marathon. So, again, I appreciate all you guys, as always, who watch, support, comment, and do all that good stuff. I'm really excited for all the content that we're going to be bringing you. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a good year. We got to get back to those 2019 vibes, get some of those W's. And I think everything's going to be legit, and we'll be good. But again, as always, thank you guys for joining. We will absolutely be doing this tomorrow. So again, whether you like this ginger beard or not, I don't care. But you're going to start seeing it a whole lot more. So tomorrow, we'll be back. QB1 episode tomorrow. I'm going in on Jimmy. I'm going in on Trey. I'm going in on Kyle. I'm going in on the whole thing. Again, if you haven't been following my personal Twitter, you don't know how I feel. So some of you might be surprised, but we're going to get after it tomorrow. Be back. I don't know the time. I'll schedule. I'll get it out there. But again, thank you all. Much love. Much love. Got to do it.